Welcome back to my channel.
Story 1.
The Wright family loves fishing. They head to a nearby lake every weekend. They used to catch a lot of fish. Now, they are lucky to end up with 2 fish altogether. There are other differences at the lake. The water used to be crystal blue. Recently, it started looking a lot greener. It even smells a bit nasty. Mr. Wright is getting worried about it. There is a factory about a mile away from the lake. Mrs. Wright suspects they are responsible for the changes. They're probably dumping their waste in the water, she says. That's probably killing all the fish. They probably won't eat the fish they catch there anymore.
Story 2.
Sarah's car wasn't turning on. She checked the engine. She saw the problem. One of her pipes was loose. She would have to buy a new piece to fix it. Sarah headed to the local auto shop. After she bought the pipe, an employee offered to help her put it in the car. "No thanks," said Sarah. "I can do it myself." The employee laughed when she said this. "What's so funny?" asked Sarah. "Girls don't know how to fix cars," said the man employee. Sarah was furious. She almost smacked him with the pipe. Instead, she talked to his manager. Then, on her way out the door, she knocked a shelf over. "I hope men know how to clean," she said. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video and comment.
Story 3.
David was a short man. He had always been the smallest boy in class. As an adult, he barely even passed 5 feet. His height made David's self-esteem very low. He wanted to change that. David had always liked sports. Sadly, short people have a hard time fitting in on most sport teams. "Have you thought about becoming a horse jockey?" asked a friend. David decided to give it a try. The next day, David visited the local racetrack. David didn't even get a chance to introduce himself. 3 people came up to ask if he was interested in joining their racing team. His height was finally a huge advantage. David fit right in.
Story 4.
Thomas looked like a tough guy. "Nothing can scare me," he always said. "Not even a ghost?" asked his friend. "Of course not," said Thomas. "Ghosts aren't even real." The next day, Thomas and his friends were bored. They went to explore the neighborhood. They ran into an old abandoned house. They dared Thomas to go inside. He had to stay there for 5 minutes. Thomas was very brave at first. He couldn't see anything in the dark. Suddenly, he started hearing things. It sounded like a woman screaming. Thomas ran out of the house crying.
Story 5.
Michael lived in Minnesota. He was visiting the West Coast. His friends were going to show him around. "I just want to see Las Vegas," said Michael. "Are you sure?" asked his friends. Michael insisted. He had always wanted to go to Las Vegas. Michael had seen a lot of movies about Vegas. Everything looked very bright and fancy. He couldn't wait to see it. When they arrived, Michael was confused. The streets all looked dirty and old. In the movies, everyone looked happy. In reality, half of the people were drunk. The other half were angry from losing money in casinos. "This isn't what I pictured," said Michael.
Story 6.
Richard had always been very tall. He was the biggest boy in elementary school. He used this to be a bully. He always pushed the small kids around. He did this all through high school. Many kids hated Richard. He made many people cry. As an adult, Richard was not very successful. He always thought he would be a basketball player. However, he hurt his knee and could not play anymore. Now, Richard needed a job. Richard applied to many places. He knew all the bosses of the companies. They were the men Richard used to bully as children. Richard had a very hard time finding a job. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video and comment.
Story 7.
It was Mr. and Mrs. Martin's one-year anniversary. Mr. Martin wanted to surprise his wife. He decided to cook a nice meal for her. He would make her favorite dish. After hours of cooking, Mr. Martin was finished. He set the table before she got home. He wanted to make the evening perfect. He lit a lot of candles around the house and turned off the lights. Soon, the doorbell rang. Mr. Martin ran to the door. On his way there, he tripped over a candle. The flame landed on a curtain. The fire grew quickly. Soon it spread to the carpet. Mr. Martin ran out of the house. Mrs. Martin was definitely surprised.
Story 8.
Patricia went to a private university. She couldn't afford it herself. She was lucky to receive a scholarship to pay for her. Many other people at the school were very rich. This made Patricia uncomfortable sometimes. All her classmates dressed in expensive clothing. Patricia could barely even pay for her books. The last thing she was going to do was spending money on clothing. Her classmates all drove fancy sports cars. Patricia took the bus to school. She was embarrassed for not having money. "Don't worry," said her mom. "Soon you're going to graduate. You will get a great job with your degree. One day, you will be as rich as them. Maybe you will be even richer."
Story 9.
James and Susan grew up together. They had always been best friends. Now, they were going to turn 30. So much had changed. Susan was about to get married. James had introduced Susan to her fiancé. He knew they would get along great. It made James very happy to see Susan happy, too. However, James felt very strange. Susan's wedding was near. Suddenly, James started feeling very jealous. "What have I done?" he thought. After 20 years of friendship, James realized something. He was in love with Susan. It was too late to do anything about it now.
Story 10.
Margaret was very close to her mom. They had always been best friends. Margaret was now 25 years old. It was time for her mom to let her go out on her own. "You have to be more independent," said her mom. Margaret didn't want to. "I don't want to leave you all alone," said Margaret. She was scared that her mom would be too lonely. She was usually a very shy woman. She was allergic to fur, so she couldn't even have a pet. "Don't worry about me," said her mom. "Once you move out, my new boyfriend can move in with me."